Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Chris Martin. I'm about to tell you guys how I purchased a property for $25,000. You ready? Let's go. Kind of feeling these sneakers right here, so I just wanted to point them out to you. I know it has nothing to do with the video, but the tan, the maroon, the orange, I'm kind of feeling them right now. Anyway, now we can get into business. I guess the first question is, can you actually buy a property for $25,000? And the answer, undoubtedly, is yes, you can buy a property for $25,000. You may not be able to buy a property in your market for $25,000. I may not be able to buy a property in my market for $25,000, but you can buy a property for $25,000. So I live in the Northeast, Massachusetts. Prices are so far beyond $25,000. So in my market, it's just non-existent. I couldn't purchase a property for $25,000. But 10 years ago, I really wanted to, I've had my license for a little over 10 years, and I really wanted to get into investing as soon as possible. And in order for me to do that, it made more sense for me to invest in a property that was outside of my area because I can get into it quicker. So I started looking at where can I invest and where can I get into investing for as little money as possible. And it just so happens that I used to live in Alabama, and Alabama price points are a lot lower than Massachusetts. So I moved back to Massachusetts, so I wasn't there at the time, but I was familiar with that area. So if you guys are thinking about investing in property that's out of state, out of the area that you're in, I highly recommend that you have a little bit of familiarity with it, or you have lived there before. Preferably you've lived there before. Maybe you know someone in that area, but you know that area. If not, do a massive amount of research so you become to know that area. But either way, I was familiar with that area because I used to live there. So I was looking on Gulf Coast MLS to look for property that was in my price point. I had $25,000 to spend. That's it. And this was an early stage of my real estate career. I saved up enough commission checks to get $25,000, and I didn't have any kids at the time, so I was willing to go all in. I wanted to be an investor that bad. I wanted to add that title to my name to be an investor, so I looked for property. I saw one that I was in a good area that I thought was a decent area. I knew what rents were, and that's another thing. You want to know what rents would be. This would be a purely buy and hold situation for a rental property. So it was a single family house. It was on the market for $40,000. It was an estate sale, and it actually it had been sitting on the market for a little bit. So I called my realtor buddy out there, Matt. Shout outs to Matt, real estate pioneer himself, broker owner. But I had someone on the ground there, and I said, "Hey, Matt, I want to put an offer on this property. It's $40,000. Can you go over there and just take a look at it for me? Shoot me some video." So I never saw this property in person, but he went there, shot some video, gave me an idea of what needed to be done and all that stuff. And I said, "You know what? Let's put a cash offer in for $25,000. I had no room for negotiating. I told him that. I said, "Look, I got $25,000. Put an offer in for $25,000. And he was like, "All right, I'll do it." I write it up, sent me the documents to sign electronically, and then called me. It might have been later that day or the next day and said, "Chris, they accepted your offer, dude." I was like, "You're kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah, they accepted your offer." I was like, "Well, tell them I'm just kidding. Tell them I was just kidding. I don't even want to buy it anymore." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Man, I wasn't ready for it at the time. It was just a lot." I was like, "Oh man, this is real now." I was like, "No, okay, I'll buy it." But I had that split second of like, I'm just kidding. I wanted to pull out, but I didn't. I actually purchased the property, $25,000. So I got a $15,000 price reduction on a $40,000 property. The property needed about another $25,000 worth of work. Remember, I went all in on this property, damn near all in on this property. So what I did is I took a personal loan out for the renovations, which came to about another $20,000. A personal loan ended up costing me about $400 a month. So I looked at that as my mortgage. I knew at the time that property could get anywhere between $800 to $900 on rental income a month, and that was a pretty conservative guesstimate. So renovated the property, lined up the contractors. I had never seen the property. He was also going to manage it for me, which I think is huge. If you are going to own a property out of state and do a buy and hold on it, you don't want to be taking tenant calls and not having eyes and your feet on the ground. You want someone in the trenches for you to collect the rent and be that person that is communicating with the tenant. So I had that set up, thankfully. He does a great job on it for me, to where years went by and I didn't even know that property existed. I got checks for it, so I knew that was real. But as far as I know, the property didn't exist. But eventually went down there, took a drive-by, and saw the property. So it's there. It actually is a tangible piece of real estate that I own. But it was funny not seeing it for years until I actually went down there to see it. So, but yeah, so purchased the property, did the renovations, got I think $900 in rental income. Remember, I had that $400 personal loan. In my mind, a couple of real estate transactions, I can accelerate those payments and just pay that off, which I did. I ended up paying them off in a year or two, however long that was. And the property is owned outright. I love these type of investments because, you know, everything has their pros and cons. You know, you can certainly buy, you know, let's just say you buy one of these a year if you're an agent, or if you're not an agent, if you just have a need to invest or a want to invest. Think about that. You can buy a property, $25,000 or whatever it is, and you don't have any debt tied to your name. You own it free and clear. The only thing you're responsible for is the taxes, the insurance on the property, and the utilities. So worst case scenario, you don't have tenants there. The tenants don't pay. It's not going to sink your ship, right? You're not going to go down, and it's not going to cripple you as far as financially. It's not going to cripple you. You can kind of have that peace of mind knowing if there's vacancy or worst possible case scenario, it's not going to be, you know, thousands of dollars that you're going to have to come up with on a monthly basis. Also, it maintains your buying power for those properties that you do want to buy that are higher price points. It's not going to impact your loan on those properties. It's not going to impact your debt to income ratio, which all lenders are going to look at when you're buying property. So I like that. I like the idea of buying these properties and owning them outright and them being like instant cash flow. So instant cash flow should be really good on those type of properties, and they were on this one, which is why I jumped on it. I guess the con is going to be the appreciation. So when you look at a market like Massachusetts, buying a multifamily is a lot different, or a single family up here. The appreciation is going to grow much higher than a property down there. So I purchased that property, I forget exactly how long ago it was, $25,000, put another 25 into it, so I have 50 into it. I think it's worth about 95 now. So, you know, the appreciation's there. It's just not going to be where it is up here, right? If I buy a property for, let's just say, you know, $600,000, and, you know, I renovate it and get the tenants in there to increase rent and all that thing, you know, that property soon will be worth $7, $8, $9, $1 million. So the appreciation is going to be much greater. So definitely, you know, diversify. But if you're looking to invest and you don't have the 25% down that's needed on some investment properties, which can be $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, and you want to invest $25,000, $50,000 and own a property outright, you might want to look in other markets. Ask people you know where they've lived. You know, there's so many different markets that have these opportunities, and it might be something worth looking into. Okay, so hopefully you guys learned something. In fact, I'd like to hear what you guys, if anyone's watching this, if you own property that is anywhere out of state, let me know. You guys may be watching in all different areas, but let me know where you own property. Let me know what you picked it up for. I'll be interested in seeing that, and I'm sure other people would too. Feel free to drop your comments in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'd appreciate that, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.